Thank you. We have this wonderful new technology that came out not too long ago called Blu-ray. Yes. And when it was first being bandied about, there was this amazing amount of information you could store on here and the kinds of things that can happen. And if I can go back to a conversation that may have happened in one of the panels that Funimation was involved in, that there was a sort of a different approach from Japan and America in terms of what you can put on a Blu-ray disc. And it sounds like, if I heard correctly, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's the potential you could get a lot of information on that Blu-ray disc to the extent that a certain series could probably be on a Blu-ray disc. And that could be quite attractive to a lot of people who are looking to get something that could be stored on a bookshelf a lot easier than a few discs.
Oh yes, actually overall, I mean, our DVD model's gone that way. We got away from these 6 volumes that takes up a good chunk of your shelf to the buy 2, 13 episodes, slim packs. Because I understand that, you know, being an anime fan for longer than, you know, a few years, you gotta get a wing for your collection. I started buying the books because I was like, I can't take it anymore. I don't need to take my entire garage up, you know, along those lines. But Blu-ray is definitely a way to go to see more series come out, as in like slimmer discs, less of them, take up less room. I forget how many Step 7's on. I think it's like 4 or 6, something like that, instead of like 7 full ones with extra features. Because they're bigger files, so they're much more high def, we actually what we call it takes up more room for each file. But again, the discs themselves are so wonderful that we can store more on it. So it's kind of like the files are bigger, but the discs we're putting on are even bigger than that. So it's not like a 1-for-1, but it's like a 1.5 for 2 kind of thing. You're saving a little bit on space on every Blu-ray disc, and it looks just that much darn prettier.
Does anybody actually have a fan-subbing oriented question? Anyone?
I do.
Okay, I'm just curious because we're kind of sitting over here. We don't burn Blu-ray fan subs, so we can't comment on that.
I have a question for the fan subbing.
Okay, he has a question. Try to think of some good fan subbing questions.
Were there other?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, fan subbing. We love fan subbing questions.
It's all yours.
I can go to either or. With ADV releasing Planet and Princess Resurrection on the subtitles, and then Nozomi releasing Emma on Marie Watches Over Us, do you think that with them releasing the subtitles, do you think that's a way to try to keep fan subbers like you, trying to keep them from doing the subtitles, or just trying to get it out to please the fans, or as a cheap way to get those titles out, or something like that?
So you're just kind of asking...
I'm asking all of
Well, no, just to rephrase your question, you're kind of asking, by companies putting these just subtitles out quicker and faster versus like the dubs or the full disc, is it stopping us from kind of subbing that show?
Yeah,
or?
I know when ADV released Clannad, everyone, when I was reading the ANN board for it, people were getting so mad. It's like, why there wasn't no dub for Clannad? Because Canon had a dub and ARTV had a dub, so why not Clannad? It wasn't fair. And I'm like, personally, me, I was caring, but it was like, why wasn't that done? But like, with the subtitle version.
Well, I can say the good fan subber perspective on that answer. If any company is going to have a show fully subtitled and available for purchase or viewable online, anything like that, most groups that kind of respect the companies, which we talked about previously today, will typically not even pick it up. Like, if I see there's going to be a fully subtitled show released in 2 weeks or a month of it being done in Japan, I typically will not sub inside of that, because there's already going to be English subs. There's really no point in me doing it.
I think a lot of that happens with a lot of the stuff on Crunchyroll now, where the only stuff people find online is these repackaged stuff that they've ripped off of Crunchyroll. That's the funny nickname online. Yes.
That's your Irish.
Yes. Off of Crunchyroll, because the better or more legitimate fan subbers, you don't want to touch it or whatever because of that.
I think on your point directly about stopping other people, I really don't think it's going to stop any of the speed subbers, because really short of it being released the day of or at latest the day after it's released in Japan, speed subbers are going to sub it. It's gotten to the point where it's so easy to release something right now, people are just going to do it unless you can beat them immediately to the punch, which is almost impossible.
To
bring up the point on that, you know, these groups like Horrible Subs release the Crunchyroll version simply because, you know, they don't want to pay for the subscription, and then they don't want to have to wait these 7 days until you can get it. Because I think most of them, I think it's, if you have the subscription, you get it the day of or 3 days after or whatever. And if you don't, you have to wait a week, and people are like, we're not going to wait a week, we want it now.
Just to give you an idea of the actually the time frame for a fan sub. Obviously it's different for them because they actually have to do high production values and all that fun stuff. But we can typically locate the raw files, what it's called, just the raw video from Japan on like full 1080p, everything, usually about 2 hours after the show airs, and have it on our computers and ready to go. Translator, hour or two maybe if they're good. Time, done, encoded, up. If it's good day, 6-7 hours, totally up on torrents and ready for downloading. So just to give you an idea of the actual turn time, we actually can do to fan sub, and that's the big thing that we don't like as groups. We're, like they were saying, slapping subs up and stuff like that. So just to give you an idea of the actual turn time for a fan sub can be very low if everyone is perfectly in sync in that group.
I have a quick question. What about the idea of watermarking?
I think we talked about this last year a little bit. When you watermark anything, if you look at any of the shows we release, you can see the watermark from the Japanese TV show in the upper right corner, on which show it airs on. So a lot of studios are doing that in Japan now, like whatever it's airing, like TV Tokyo, MBS, they're all doing that. Fan subs, you'll probably never see us watermarking our stuff. Mainly because the minute we do it, there's so many flaming haters that jump on your forum for it. It's like crazy. You get like millions of comments like, there's a watermark, I'm not downloading your show, I'm gonna get the speed up, it's better. So, you know, it's, watermarking is that situation. So you're probably never gonna see too many fan servers watermark just because the masses just has always responded very negatively to it.
I know, yeah, I hate watching that on digital TV. They seem to get bigger and bigger every year, but they actually, the digital fan subbing started out with having watermarks on it. I know a lot of groups, and then they used to try to animate them and see how cool of a watermark you could get. You'd have the anime factory, the little gear turning, and then eventually people just realized it was frivolous and there's no reason to really do it. And they just kind of got rid of it. But
okay, thank you. It's we have 10 minutes left.
We have 30 minutes. 30. We go until 8 o'clock. Yeah. Well, 7:50 we go until 7:50.
We're going to go till 7:50.
Okay, so 20.
Okay, all right, thank you. They were just telling me.
Understand.
Okay, we have one question or comment here.
Yeah, I had a question just mostly actually for the fan subbers about but also for the industry people as well, in terms about just the education aspect of this whole argument, like educating the fans about why, like for example, when people have brought up these ideas of, well, why do you subtitle a whole series if the intention is just to give people a taste of it? Why don't you watermark it? And I'm hearing a lot of, well, the fans will hate us for that, you know, they'll flame, and you know, I think that me, being someone who used to get fan subs on VHS when you had to send them 3 tapes, and the fan subbing places, one of the groups of people that I dealt with a lot was Bruce and Karen Duffy, who did the original fan subs for Fushigi Yugi and Marmalade Boy, and they were very, very clear on their websites about what the purposes of fan subs were and why they would cease distributing once the licensed product was out, and what your responsibility was as a fan to support the company later. And I'm just wondering, short of doing panels like this and having forums, like how do you get the message out there that this is